Hello, everyone. Let's talk Pacers-Cavs Game 3, the first loss of the series for the Pacers. 22-point defeat. I'm Tony East. I cover the Pacers for Forbes and Locked On Pacers. By far the Pacers' worst loss of the series. They never recovered from their low points like they did in Game 2. They didn't slow the Cavs' runs as much as they did in Game 1. They didn't shoot as well as they did in Game 1. They didn't defend as well as they have throughout the series. Tyrese Haliburton never got going. You could count the things that looked worse on two hands, but the biggest story is the Cavs were healthy, and that was a determining factor that I think will push things going forward. Is Darius Garland is very good. Evan Mobley looked amazing, and a lot of the stuff we'll talk about today is possible because of him. DeAndre Hunter did enough to be impactful. Those three were huge. Darius Garland's biggest impact is that he wasn't Ty Jerome, and Ty Jerome's been bad in this series, but a lot of other guys, or the other two guys, had more significant impacts, and they're all kind of bled into the stuff that caused the Pacers to lose this game. For example, I think the biggest thing that looked like a new problem for the Pacers is this Cavs zone defense. It is mighty. It is strong. It's a 3-2. The Cavs have talked about knowing that their traditional 2-3 would not work, and they need to change it up. They go 3-2, a high up top man, sometimes DeAndre Hunter, sometimes Evan Mobley. Mobley can cover the guy on top, and when the ball gets in the paint, drop down and cover that guy. He's everywhere. He's huge. He's deterring all these plays. When he's on the bottom, DeAndre Hunter could be on the top. That's where Hunter, I thought his biggest impact of the game was on the defensive end. That really stifled, the Pacers, and then Mobley could roam the bottom and cover a lot of space. Like, the corners should be open against a 3-2, but the Cavs just have a lot of guys who can cover ground, and that really slowed the Pacers down. A lot of times junk defenses make them think too much. They don't play their way. That was certainly the case. Those two returning from injury was a big factor there. And that was one part of the defense the Pacers will have to solve in Game 2. You don't just traditionally get a guy in the middle and fling it to the opposite corner or fling it around the court like you can against 2-3. Like, you have to work to get it to the corners against 3-2, and you can. No team should want to give up corner threes in the current NBA, but the Pacers have to figure out how to do it. If it's high-low stuff to kind of keep pressure near the rim, if it's someone just getting into the middle of two guards on top, whatever it is, if it's keeping Mobley's attention away from stuff in the middle of the court, they got to figure out how to attack it because it really slowed them down in Game 2. The other defensive thing the Cavs did is they were face guarding Haliburton very far away. Dean Wade did it a lot. DeAndre Hunter did it a little. And that keeps him out of the play. On one hand, it seems encouraging for the Pacers that a high-powered offensive team can play 4-on-4 on the rest of the floor. On the other hand, they're playing 4-on-4 without their best offensive player, and that clearly slowed them down at times. Haliburton, 4 points, 5 assists, a very quiet game, and then did not speak post-game. A lot of hubbub about that. He did address it on Saturday. It was a Pacers PR decision. They said he's got to be better than that. One, in those settings, like, either find a way to get the ball if you're him and force the face-guarding player to be drained or in an action, or the rest of the team also needs to think creatively. Go set good screens to get him free. Let him take it across the timeline if that's what it takes to get him the ball. Like, him being that and involved is fine if they're punishing the 4-on-4s. They weren't. Now they have to respond by getting him involved. They couldn't. Hunter was involved in that. Dean Wade was a big factor in that. He talked about it a little bit, I believe, at Cavs availability on Saturday. I was unable to attend. So just a lot of new stuff in that way that really was tough for the Pacers. They've got to get Haliburton going. They've got to solve that zone. That's kind of the newer stuff that stood out to me in Game 3. The zone isn't newer. They've been doing it throughout the series ever so often. If you want to listen to, I believe it was Game 1, Locked On Pacers recap, I mentioned that zone is something the Pacers need to be ready for the rest of the series, and the Cavs have sprinkled it in, but that was the most they've used it. The other stuff that was concerning for the Pacers is stuff that's been happening throughout the series. One was, the rebounding. Holy cow, was the rebounding bad. I believe the Cavs were plus 19 on the glass, 37-56. I don't have it in front of me, but it's close to that. And that just can't happen. They dominated the offensive glass. Donovan Mitchell, a guard, albeit an athletic one, had more offensive rebounds by himself than the Pacers had as a team. The cumulative effect of those offensive rebounds gave the Cavs so many extra chances. Right? The Pacers and Cavs close in free throw attempts, 37-34. Close in turnovers. I believe it was 13-14 in turnovers. Those two stats are two of the three that can generally tell you how a team gets more shots than the other team. They were very even. Offensive rebounds heavily favored the Cavs so much that they took, again, 20 more shots in this game. Crashing the offensive glass has been a way to slow the Pacers for a while. It was in this game. And so the Cavs got extra chances. They're a high-powered offense. They don't need more chances to win already, but more helps them a lot, and it did in this game because the Pacers shot a better percentage from the field and were down 20 a lot of the game. because the Cavs just kept coming at him over and over thanks to these rebounds. It never got better. In Game 2, I felt like the rebounding battle was actually an unfair way to look at the rebounds because there's a lot of long ones that just bounced nice for Cleveland. In Game 3, I did not feel that way. It felt like the Cavs were just stronger, better, more physical on the glass, whatever word you want to use, and it paid off for them in a very, very big way as they got those extra chances and rolled to a win. They did not give up the 20-point lead like they did in Game 2. The Pacers never slowed their runs like they did in Game 1 in the second half. It was just all Cavs for much of the night after the first quarter. The second quarter was particularly challenging for the Pacers. A lot of the rest of the game was closer to even, but still had a lot of the themes that I've discussed today. The slow starts are a problem for the Pacers again, 2 straight games of that as well. The solution to that is just play better. There's no strategic reason the start of the game should be any more challenging than other parts outside of like hilariously significant adjustments. So Pacers have to figure it out. It starts with Tyrese Haliburton. A lot of the other stuff is important. Rebounding matters a lot. Beating his own defense matters a lot. Starting games better is important. Like getting better shots in the paint, getting Siakam going. Like that, he was a little quiet till the fourth quarter. All that matters. All that's very important. If Tyrese Haliburton has 4 points and 5 assists again, they will lose Game 4. That is the big thing that matters the most for the Pacers, is figuring out how to at least get him be a threat, make him someone that the defense is paying attention to. In the next game, he's had stinkers of games in past series. Game 1 against the Knicks and Bucks last year was not particularly strong for him. He responded to both of those. They need him to respond again because if the Cavs get going, this could be tough for the Pacers. They have not shot 30% from 3 in a game yet this series. The Cavs have not. Like, if they do that, that's going to be hard. Pacers have to take advantage. They have 2 more home games. If they win both, they win the series. But Game 3 was certainly concerning. Their worst performance by far. They weren't able to come back like they were in the last game. Still up 2-1, but the adjustments are obvious. The changes are there. I think they need to shorten their rotation. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I think Carlisle would have a better pulse on that than me. My thinking would be Thomas Bryant just can't play anymore, especially if Obi Toppin's playing. I think the Pacers tipped that they might go to that when they played an Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam front court to start the fourth quarter of Game 3, certainly signifying they know that group is their best chance to score with bench groups. I would think about that. I think that Ben Shepherd's probably not going to play much more in this series unless he can start to be better on defense. Maybe they play him 5 minutes here or there just to keep guys as fresh as possible, but he has not been as effective as I thought he might be in this series. If they're going to play that guy, I might just go with Jarris Walker. Make your small ball lineups as big as you can, if that makes sense, with like a Walker, Siakam, Toppin front court combo. But it's tricky. The Cavs are good. The Pacers have dealt with the challenges the Cavs can provide 2 games in a row. They snuck out of one. They cannot win the other. And Game 4 will be very telling for how the rest of this series goes. The adjustments are obvious. The stuff they've struggled with has been thematic for much of the series. They've talked about it. They know it. But if it can't happen, they've got to be worried if this goes back to Cleveland 2-2, even though they've proven they can win on the road. I'll be at Game 4. I'll be at the rest of the series with much more coverage on this channel where there's lots of fever vids right now, but expect some interviews coming up later today. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya very soon.